Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Man, check this out. On this episode, what I'm going to do is what we call a remix. My homegirl, shout out to the homie, Britt Renee. She just recently celebrated her 50th episode. And so for her 50th episode, what she did was she talked about 50 random things about her. And when I heard the episode, I'd actually had the idea to remix it. But then our other homeboy, Baylor, heard the episode and he did a remix on it. And when I heard his remix, it reminded me that I was supposed to reach out to Britt and get, the notes or what have you for how she did the 50, because not because I'm celebrating my 50th episode. I'm far beyond that. But in the correlation of the number 50, I will be turning 52 in just a few weeks. So instead of calling this episode 52, I'll just call it something cool like Fiftyleven. And Fiftyleven means too many to count. But yeah, the episode was about 50 random things about Brit. So what I did was I shot her a text. She sent me a text back with the notes. And what was interesting was when she sent the notes in the notes app on the iPhone, it told me her last name. And like, I've known Britt almost 2 years now. I didn't even know her last name. So I got a kick out of that. But on this episode, I'm going to give you 52. Well, 50-11, but really, truly 52 things, random things about me. And I'm just going to go down Britt's list. And I'm going to answer each one that she had because I think it was very interesting. Now, full disclosure, she texted me this list the other day. I put it in the notes app in my phone and I haven't looked at it since because I wanted my answers to be fresh, right? So it's very random, but you'll appreciate it nonetheless. Number one, appreciating motherhood and what she loved about it. Obviously, I'm not a mother. So the flip thing for me would be fatherhood. Fatherhood, what I love about fatherhood is that I'm able to help guide and mold these young people into human beings, decent human beings. Fatherhood, and I've mentioned it on several episodes. I've done a couple of fatherhood episodes. It's the best job that I could have ever asked for. It's not a job that it's a job that I can't afford to fail at. And it's a job that I take serious. And I mean, like you're on the clock every day. And, but I love our four, my wife and I have four children, Dion, Cameron, Brandon, and our daughter, Skylar. So 3 boys. And then we had our daughter, Skylar, in their ages, 25, 22, 17, soon to be 18, and 13. So we've spread them out, but fatherhood is incredible. It is something that really has helped me and guided me on the path that I'm on. I tell people all the time, and I tell them all the time, like, more than half the stuff that I do it for y'all. I don't do it for me. Because if it was me, I'd probably be living in a cardboard box or something. Just everything I do is for my kids, and I love them dearly. Number 2, loving the healing and the growth I found in myself. I will agree with that. I think for me, my personal growth has been something that when I step back and take a look at it, I kind of marvel at to some degree because, like, I think I have grown a lot. Marriage and fatherhood definitely have done that, have helped me grow a lot. But the flip side of it is I think I've grown a lot just because of my experiences. And I think like for me, when you go through things, when you go through trials and tribulations, I think, they always say experience is the best teacher, and it really truly is. But I think I've grown a lot. And I think I'm still, in my mind, I'm still growing, and I'm still trying to become that young man that my mom and dad wanted me to be. I'm pretty sure they will tell you that I far exceeded it, but it doesn't feel like that at times. It feels like I still have a lot to do. And I don't think we ever should stop doing whatever it is that we're doing. And that's my challenge to myself. And I push myself daily to be better in all aspects of life. Be better at home, be better at work, be a better father, be a better husband, be a better friend, be a better brother, so forth and so on. And even when you fall short, I think you hold yourself accountable. But like I mentioned a little earlier, fatherhood is the piece that really resonates with me because you can't afford to mess that up. So, but yeah, I'm really, really growing. And I've come to appreciate not just my growth, but the path. And I think you guys have probably heard me talk about this on this episode or these episodes on the podcast before, but really and truly enjoying the journey, because anybody can, go out and score a bunch of points. But if you don't appreciate the time that you put in to getting to the point where you can get to the game where you can score those points, then it's pointless, So I've really and truly enjoyed the journey. The journey's been the thing that's been really special. I mean, scoring the points is good. It's dope. It makes you feel good. Get your name in the paper and your name in lights. But the hard work that you put in, the work that you put in that when nobody was watching, that's the stuff I think that has helped define me and what I'm trying to do. Number 3, crying at everything. Apparently Britt cries at everything. I'm not a crier. Yeah, I'm not really, I can be emotional as far as like, raising my voice or something like that, but crying, I don't really cry. I mean, and I'm not saying that like I'm some, tough guy or something. I'm not. To be honest, I really haven't had a lot to make me cry. Well, you know what? I take that back. And I mentioned this on a previous podcast earlier this calendar year. My dad had a stroke, and honestly, for a couple hours, it was kind of touch and go whether or not he was going to make it. And he's fine now. He's probably at about 80%. He's not his old self, but he's pretty close to it. And I'm thankful for that. But when I had to tell the kids that he had a stroke, and I told our oldest two are away in college, so we had to FaceTime them. I brought the other two in here, Brandon and Skylar. Dion and Cameron are away at college. And when we brought them in the room and was talking to them or whatever, telling them what happened, I was cool. I was cool until we were about to get off the phone, and I think I saw Dion, who's our oldest, I saw his face on FaceTime, and he genuinely looked concerned. And after that, I just kind of broke down. I was just like, and then in your mind, you're thinking, you're preparing yourself. You're trying not to think the worst, but you're also kind of preparing yourself like this could be it. And there's nothing you could do but just wait on a phone call. So yeah, but other than that, like, I can't really think of any other time I cried this year. And again, I'm not saying that it's something macho or anything, because I think it is healthy to cry. I just don't cry. But Britt cries at everything, so I guess that levels it out. Coolest places that I've traveled. What's the coolest place I've traveled? You know what, man? For what it's worth, pound for pound, and y'all not gonna believe this, but Minneapolis, Minnesota is cool as hell. Now, granted, I said it's cool because it's really cold. Again, make no mistake about it. It's colder than a mug there. But it is a cool, chill ass city. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. As many of you know, maybe you don't know, I actually lived in Minneapolis for about a year and a half. I was working there during the weekend and flying home on the weekends through my job, and it was tough being away from the kids and the wife. And this was, I don't know, 2009, 2010. So we didn't even have Skylar yet. It was just the three boys, Dion and Cameron and Brandon. And Brandon was young. I mean, he might have been like 2 or 3, maybe even 3 or 4, I should say. And, but no, Minneapolis, for what it's worth, definitely check out Minneapolis. But I will say this much. If you visit Minneapolis, go during the spring or the summer. Because that's why people live there. People always say, well, why would you want to live in Minneapolis? The spring and the summer are beautiful. It's not too hot. You got all these lakes and stuff, so you can get outside. And when I say get outside, everybody and their mama is outside in Minneapolis once it gets warm, because they've been inside all year, So, but it's a dope city. Obviously, the GOAT is from Minneapolis, Prince Rogers Nelson. But yeah, that's probably one of the coolest cities and I've been to quite a few cities. Houston's another dope, cool city. It ain't cold, but it's cool, but it's hot. You can go to Houston year round. It doesn't matter when you go to Houston, it's gonna be hot. But I'd probably say, yeah, Minneapolis and Houston, very, very cool cities. Very cool cities. Cool. But I love the vibe in Minneapolis, and I love the vibe in Houston. Houston reminds me a lot of Atlanta, but a little cooler. Minneapolis reminds me a lot of Atlanta, certain sections of Atlanta, but a little bit cooler as well. And that's saying a lot because I live in Atlanta. So let's see, number 6, visiting Paisley Park. Britt visited Paisley Park. I've never been to Paisley Park. Obviously, that's the home of the GOAT, Prince Rogers Nelson. So I never visited Paisley Park, but I had, even in the time that I lived in Minneapolis. And at that time, Prince was alive. So, but I do have a Prince story. I went to a Minnesota Twins baseball game. My beloved New York Yankees were in town to play against the Twins at Target Field. And I got word that Prince was at the game. Man, listen, I spent the better part of that game trying to get to the section where I thought like the suites and stuff were. And you got to have, badges and stuff like that and access passes. I ain't had none of that. I just kept walking. And I walked up to the security guard and I was about to walk in his door. He was like, where you going? He's like, we need to see your ID. I was like, ID? I said, I don't have any ID. I got to go in here. He's like, no, you can't go in here without any ID. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I was like, and I just really played it like, no, you got to let me in here, because I knew in my mind, Prince was behind one of those doors. And he wasn't trying to hear me. So I didn't get a chance to see him, but I did hear that he was at that particular game. So I was like a little kid, man. I was trying to find that dude, man. I wanted to see him. I wanted to dap him up. I wanted to holler at him. And most people probably think, oh, well, why would you think you could just walk up and talk to Prince? Why not? I'm 12 Kyle. He needs to know me. I already knew him. So, but I'm not even the type to fan out over people like that. But, this was that guy. I mean, that's my guy. So what would I have said? I would have just said, what's up? And, big fan, or, I might have struck up a conversation, because I'm sure he's probably heard that a gazillion times. So I would have said something. I wouldn't have been awestruck. I would have been real cool and real chill, because I think, when you're at that level, I think you appreciate people who are cool and chill. You don't expect the fan experience from everybody. Hobbies. Her hobbies is her plants. Not a fan of plants. I've only had like maybe 2 or 3 plants. My hobbies, obviously this podcast is a huge hobby of mine. It takes up a lot of my time, a lot of my free time, and I'm perfectly cool with that, because I'm always constantly trying to find ways to tweak things or make it sound a little better, or look a little bit better, or feel a little bit better. I always said, like, the goal of this podcast is to bring you in the room. I want you to really feel like you're sitting in here with me and we're talking and we're having a conversation. And I really like the fact that a lot of times I will make episodes and people will be conversing with me and I'm not even in the room, or my friends will hear it and they may be tweeting or texting as I'm going through different topics. Excuse me. So that's always fun. But yeah, this hobbies, probably my biggest hobby right now is this podcast. Well, actually, both podcasts, I should say, the 12 Kyle podcast and the newly released podcast, the Rap Soul podcast. You'll hear more about that in just a few. Let's see. Number 8, I like to collect crystals. No, I don't collect anything. I guess when I was a kid, I used to collect comic books for a while, but never been much of a collector. Magazines. I did collect magazines. In fact, if you go look at my garage, there's a box full of magazines from The Source, Vibe, Slam, Double XL, King Magazine. Shout out to King Magazine. Yes, indeed. If you know, you know. But no, I don't collect anything. I honestly just don't have the time nor the interest. Number 9, favorite concert. I did an episode talking about this. Hands down, the Up in Smoke tour was the best concert that I've ever been in my life. I was literally floating in that concert. One of the things I remember about that concert was that the opening act was Marshall Mathers, Eminem. I mean, like he hadn't even blown up yet. He was the guy who, got it started. So yeah, it was Eminem, Exhibit, the Dog Pound. I want to say Nate Dogg, Snoop, Dr. Dre. Who else? It was, and I'm thinking I think Ice Cube was on that tour too as well. Like the lineup was crazy. And I mean, like there was probably a 3-hour concert where, I mean, like you literally stood up the whole time and you rapped and sang every word. It was amazing. Number 10, Britt says she's never been to a strip club. Why? How has that happened, Britt? I don't understand. If you ever come to Atlanta, I will show you a good time. Being here, yeah, I don't really know how you could probably be here not hit the shoe show. That's what we call it. We call it the shoe show because they're shoe models, because they are modeling shoes. They're not stripping. They are modeling shoes. Got it? So yeah, the shoe show is crazy. I did a couple of episodes on the shoe shows. I won't go into any particulars because you can go back and listen to those episodes. But yeah, you come here, Britt, we'll go to shoe show. Shoe show is a good time. It is a good time. There are, some establishments here that have very good food at shoe show, particularly wings, steak. Now eating a steak might be a little bit too, that may be a little bit too far for some people, myself included. Wings I can do, fries I can do. But, steak, you got all these particles and stuff where stuff been popping all night. Nah, man, I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. Oh, man. So, number 11, guilty pleasure movies. I don't have any guilty pleasure movies. I will say this much. Because I don't watch movies like I used to, I'm probably one who will sit down and watch a movie that I've already seen 1,000 times, and I'll watch it like I've never seen it before. I don't know why, but I don't know. I'll just give an example. Trading Places. If Trading Places comes on, I'm going to sit down and watch it. That's just me. I love that movie. Coming to America. I don't know. What Do the Right Thing. Some of my favorite movies, I will watch them over and over again, particularly if they're on TV. I'm not a fan of your favorite movie being on network TV, because network TV obviously cuts stuff out and they cut out the cussing. I want to hear everything. I want to see everything. But I really don't have any guilty pleasure movies. My movie watching has changed over the years. I will go to the movies to watch a movie, but it's got to be something to move me. I'm not going to be the guy to be just like, oh, the new Brad Pitt movie's out, let's go. No, No, hell no. Um, even if like, and I saw something today where I had on my like Facebook memories, it said like this is the 2-year anniversary of me going to see Black Panther 2. And it was like, wow, it's like, man, it's been 2 years. But I remember like that was the movie that I went to go see. And, to be honest, I may have gone to a couple of handful of movies since Black Panther 2, but not a lot. You probably can count them on one hand. And I think really the idea of streaming has changed everything for me as far as the movie going experience. Um, if it's something that I really, really, really want to see, I'll go see it. If it's not something that's going to blow me away, like the recent Bad Boys movie, what is it? Bad Boys for Life? I think that's the name of it. Like I haven't seen it yet. And so like when it came to the theaters, everybody's like, oh, we got to go see it. And I heard good reviews about it. But it wasn't something, I mean, like I've seen, Martin and Will Smith before. So it's like, I'll wait for it. It'll be out on streaming soon. And sure enough, it was available via secondary marketing a month later. And I still haven't seen it, but I'll get around to it. And really for me, with the way that I watch TV and movies, you have to catch me in that window, in that pocket. And what I mean by that is like, because I watch a lot of sports, obviously, at the times when my sports are really, really heavy, I'm probably not going to sit down and watch a movie. Like right now, at the time of this recording, we've got, basketball, NBA basketball. We've got the NFL. We've got college football. So now if it's a random Wednesday night and there's no football on, or there's not a college football game on that I want to see, or there's not an NBA game that I want to see, then you could probably get me for a movie if I'm not, podding. But if I'm doing any of those things, the movie gets pushed back. So I'm the friend that everybody will call and say, hey man, did you see such and such and such movie? And I'm like, no, I hadn't seen it yet. And then here's another thing I always do when my friends say, you need to check this episode out, or you need to check this documentary out, or you need to check this series out. I'll say I'll put it on the list, and I literally have a list of things to watch. And man, that list is up to like 40 right now, and it's stuff that, for the most part, I'm gonna go back and watch. Most of it, some of it, I'm never gonna watch, especially if people have talked about it, and I've kind of gotten because nobody on the timeline is talking about it anymore. But if I kind of got the gist as to what happened, I ask myself, do I really want to sit through a 2-hour movie, or do I want to record another episode? So recording an episode usually wins out. Number 12, my 5th grade yearbook favorites. I don't know what that means. I didn't have a yearbook in 5th grade. But I do remember my 5th grade teachers, Miss Warren and Miss Phillips. I hope and pray they're still with us, because they were up there in age, and this was, 40 years ago. So, but yeah, shout out to them if they're still around. But yeah, that's about all I can. And I do remember my friends from 5th grade, but no, I don't have a yearbook. Shout out to McLaurin Elementary in Florence, South Carolina. That's where I went to school. Number 13, movies I don't like that everyone else does. Waiting to Exhale, Britt. Oh, I hate Waiting to Exhale. I hate it. Well, I can't say I hate it. I wasn't a fan. That movie didn't move me like it did everybody else. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Color Purple, I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't seen it in its totality, and I probably won't ever see it in its totality unless you come to my house and you put it on the TV screen and there's nothing else for me to watch. Like there's nothing, like my phone is dead, my iPad is dead, my computer is dead, and it's cold outside. Like there's got to be a whole bunch of stuff. There's no games on. It's gonna have to be a whole bunch of stuff to get me to sit and watch The Color Purple. Plus that movie looks sad. And I mean, like, I don't really, okay, here's the thing. I'm not for intentional sadness. So like, I'm not one who will watch a sad movie because why would I want to watch something that's going to make me sad? That doesn't make sense to me. And I know, people like, things that trigger their emotions. And, for someone like Britt, who is emotional, who, cries and that's her release, that's cool. I mean, that's perfect for her. But for your boy, nah, man, I'm not going to watch something that I know is going to make me sad. No. I was sad when E.T. couldn't get home. So that's probably the last time I was sad in a movie. No, I don't do that. Let's see. Books that I like to read. Number 14. Honestly, haven't read a book in a while. Audiobooks is my jam. I will, because I spend a lot of time in the car. I spend a lot of time working, and when I'm working, I'm listening to stuff. So I'm usually listening to music or podcasts. So audiobooks are dope. I got a couple of audiobooks that I've listened to, and I will talk about them on the Rap Soul podcast because they deal with rappers. One of them is this book right here that I'm holding. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm holding. Thank you for watching on YouTube. It was All a Dream, Biggie and the World That Made Him. This was by my man, Justin Tinsley. I bought the book to support Justin, and I didn't read a thing in it, but they did have the audiobook. So I ended up listening to the audiobook, and so that was dope. And my other book, I don't see it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Bear with me 1 second here as I get it together. This book is dope. It is called Dilla Time. This is by Dan Charnas. It's about the late, great James DeWitt Yancey, a.k.a. Jay Dilla, a.k.a. the king of beats. In my opinion, the greatest producer of all time. I haven't read it yet. It sits here, and sometimes it sits here, and it looked good in the background, but I haven't read it yet. I'm probably going to get the audiobook and just listen to it, because me sitting down reading a book, turning pages, man, I can't even tell you the last time I did that. I did read a lot as a child. Shout out to Super Fudge. Super Fudge was a dope book. But no, as an adult, me sitting down, turning pages, it's not going to happen. Audiobooks will definitely be where it's at for me. Number 15, how many pillows do you sleep with? 2. Just 2. I probably need 3, but, 2 right now. I think my head needs to be, and what's interesting that's an interesting question. I think my head needs to be propped up more now, because I have sinus issues. So sometimes at night I get sinus drainage. It's easier for me if my neck is elevated as opposed to being flat. I probably need new pillows. In fact, I had new pillows, but somebody took them and she lays on them every night. Let's see. Number 16, pet peeve. Man, pet peeve. I don't like people who pretend to be something that they're not. Be you. You know what? We are so unique. If you look at your hand has these little things in the middle of it, all around your hands, are called fingerprints. Every fingerprint that you have is vastly unique to you. There's nobody else in a world where there's 7 billion people. There's not anybody else that has the same fingerprint as you. So you're a very unique individual. Why would you want to be somebody else? I can't tell you anybody right now that I would want to be. I'd want to be me all day. I want to be me. I want to be 12 Kyle. I want to be Kyle. I want to be Black all day, 24/7. I don't want anything else. Everybody else is taken. Be you, man. That's a huge pet peeve. I probably should do an episode on pet peeves because I got quite a few. I got some plenty, as the old folks say. Number 17, bucket list location. You know what used to be on my bucket list? This is gonna bug y'all out, but I always wanted to visit here as a child. Russia. Was always very intrigued with Russia. I studied about Russia as a kid when I was in elementary school and middle school. Always wanted to visit. Now, ain't no way in hell I'm going to Russia. So bucket list, I'd probably say probably Dubai. I've heard great things. They had friends go out there, got family out there now. So Dubai, that's on the bucket list. Let's see, number 18, favorite family tradition. My favorite family tradition is getting together for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I think it's the best holiday. It is the one holiday that I look forward to. Unlike Christmas, like I'm at the point now where I just try to get through Christmas. I don't care about Christmas. I care as a father because, we do gifts and stuff like that. But, there's no more Santa Claus anymore. Kids, Santa Claus doesn't exist. Hate to break it to you. But no, Thanksgiving is the dopest. Some of my best memories as a child was getting in the car, going up I-95 from Florence all the way to New Jersey to spend time with my family and just our family gatherings. So Thanksgiving was always dope. The Thanksgiving break by the time I got to college was always dope because you had been away from home for so long and then you come home and it's just nothing but love. Like everybody's happy to see you. You got clothes there that you're washing. You wash your clothes and everybody's happy to see you and you go see your friends. And we made a few memories on Thanksgiving break. I'll just put it like that. That may be another podcast in and of itself. But yeah, my favorite family tradition is getting together for Thanksgiving. This year, I'm not sure what we're going to do for Thanksgiving, but it'll be something dope. And like I said, that's something I always look forward to. Number 19, talent show. I can't remember if Britt said she was in a talent show, but your boy was. Several. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Never lost. Never lost. I mentioned this on previous episodes and it's worth repeating. When I was in high school, I was in a singing group and the name of our group was called the Godfathers. And we won, I think 5 or 6 talent shows that we were in. And it was so dope, man. We had a really, really good group and, we were contemplating some things, before we all went to college. Unfortunately for us, like the Godfather's peak was the summer that I was about to go to college at South Carolina State University. So nothing ever materialized. We didn't get a record deal. But I love those guys, man. Rest in peace, Johannes McClain. One of the members of our group, man. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. That may be another podcast in and of itself because I don't think I've ever talked about the Godfathers in detail. Number 20, fears. I think probably at this point I have the same fear that everybody else has that is my age. I don't think, not to sound crazy, and Baylor mentioned this too, not to sound crazy, but I don't know that you necessarily fear dying. Personally, I want to be around forever. Like, I really, truly believe I'm going to be around for a very, very, very long time. I'll give you an example. Like the great Quincy Jones just passed away probably about a week or so ago. And he was 91 when he passed away. And my first thought was like, damn, he couldn't have got to 100. But 91 is nothing to sneeze at. Most people will kill to live that long. Not literally or figuratively, but you get my point. For him to be around that long and be as effective as he was, even in life, says a lot about Quincy Jones. But, just personally, yeah, I would love, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she was 95 when she passed away. I mean, so no, I'm trying to I'm trying to put up grandma numbers. I'm trying to get, and I don't even want to say I want to get to 100 because I think I'm greedy. Like if I get to 100, like I'll be like, yeah, God, let me get to 105, B. So, I definitely don't want to, I think fear probably obviously losing a parent or losing my parents, or family. I don't even want to speak about that. So those are probably the biggest fears. Favorite love song. Man, I got a bunch of them, man. Stay by Jodeci. You know what? I'll just tell you what I think probably is the quintessential love song that probably knocks everything out the box. Love Ballad, LTD. Man, listen, that song right there, or in the great in the tone of Baylor the Great, that song right there, homie. Listen, that I think is one of the greatest songs ever. What we have is much more than they can see. Yeah, but if you haven't heard that, man, when you finish this episode, play that for real. Let's see. So we did favorite love song, video shoots, favorite pastime. Never been to a video shoot. I know Britt grew up on video shoots. Her stepfather, I think, was a video director, or he was he might have been a cameraman, not a cameraman. He worked on videos. I think he directed videos. I want to say he directed a lot of music videos. I like videos. I don't necessarily know that people make videos anymore. I'm always surprised when I see a song on YouTube because that's just a totally difference in our era, because all the videos that I watch were on either BET, on Video Soul, or Rap City, or Video Vibrations, or on MTV, Yo MTV Raps, or the ever present BET Uncut. Shout out to Tip Drill. But yeah, it's I think people still make videos, but not like that. I mean, and you got to go to YouTube to find them. So it's cool, but it's a lot of songs that come out now that they don't have videos for, and I get it, because it's just probably not a part of their budget, I guess. Let's see. Number 23, first celebrity crush. Oh, that's easy. That would be none other than Janet Demita Joe Jackson. Son. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Janet Jackson, man. Penny Gordon. Charlene Dupree. Whoever you want to call her, man. She was that was the first celebrity crush. I was a kid. Probably her and Kim Fields. Shout out to Tootie from The Facts of Life. So yeah, those two are definitely first celebrity crushes, hands down. Let's see. What song can you recite perfectly for $1 million? Any song. Any song. But I probably would go with Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. One, because it is a dope song, and two, it's only one verse, and that's it. Thinking of a master plan, because ain't nothing but sweat inside my hand. And I can keep going, but I'm not. But you get the point. Yeah, for $1 million, I could perfectly recite that. Beat or no beat. Now give me my money. Number 25. She said she didn't learn to swim until she was 17 years old. At least you know how to swim. A lot of people don't know how to swim. Fortunately for me, I do know how to swim. The house that I grew up in as a child, as a young man, as a middle schooler and high schooler, we had a pool. The pool went from 3 feet to 8 feet. And so, yeah, I know how to swim. I learned how to swim. In fact, now I swim like a fish. What was interesting about learning how to swim was that I was self-taught. What happened was the pool was getting built, and I think it was like summer of 82, 83, something like that. And I broke my wrist jumping out of a tree. And I took 2 swimming lessons, and I broke my wrist. And, of course you got your wrist in a cast. You can't do anything. You can't get in the water or anything. You couldn't even take a shower. So So my mom had to cancel it, and I never forget it. She was fussing at me about paying for swimming lessons that cost her $32. So in 82, man, $32 was a lot of money. So long story short, we had this pool. And so by the time my cast came off, I had to teach myself how to swim. It was really just about being in the water and being fearless. And that's exactly what I was. And I taught myself how to swim. It didn't take long, at least maybe a couple of weeks, I guess. But, once I learned how to tread water, if you can tread water, you're okay. So yeah, we still have the pool. I haven't swam in the pool in years, but yeah, I learned how to swim early. And, I mentioned on previous podcasts, we would have pool parties and stuff, particularly for the summer. Summertime, we were in the pool every day or every other day. So that was a lot of fun. But I tell people all the time too, like my friends be like, yo man, let's get in the pool. I'm like, man, look, y'all understand pool, maintaining a pool ain't easy. Like you got to make sure you balance and do the pH stuff for the chlorine to make sure people's eyes aren't burning and stuff like that. Like it's a lot of work, and you got to keep it clean, and it's first world problems. Let me just shut up. Let's see. Number 26, favorite high school dance. Oh man, listen. I'm not gonna mention her name because, well, she's out of the country, but I'm not gonna mention her name anyway. So I knew this girl, right? And we didn't go to the same high school. And so I called her and I was like, Yerp. I was like, Yerp. I was like, yo, you coming to the dance tonight? She was like, no, I wasn't planning on it. I was like, well, you need to come through. And she was like, well, why should I come? I was like, because I'm going to be there. She was like, okay, cool. And I said, well, you going to dance with me? She was like, yeah. So, and I'm paraphrasing here. And so like that night I saw her at the dance. And so we started talking or whatever. And I had not seen her in like months. And, she was looking good. I mean, fly. She was looking fly as hell. And so I was like, you want to dance? So we danced. And what was interesting was that particular night, there was another girl who went to school with me who was looking for me. And she was trying to get with me, but like I ain't really like her like that. I ain't really like her like that. And I'm not going to mention her name. I hope and pray she don't listen to this. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, long story short, the dope part about the night was, okay, so the dance ends at midnight, right? So everybody got to go home. So when it's time to go home, they hit the lights. So they hit the lights and I grab her hand and I was like, come on, let's go. So we walking out. And all you seen was dudes' heads turning like, yo, who is that? Like, who was that with KD? Like, no, because nobody knew her. And it was like, so it's one thing to get props. It's another thing when dudes are checking for your girl and like, you don't even, like, they don't know who she is. Like it was, that was a cool moment. That was a really cool, egotistical moment for a young 12 guy. What was that? 12th grade? I don't even remember what grade. It was 12th grade. It had to be 12th grade. But yeah, and she was fly. So yeah, that was favorite high school dance right there. We had dope dances after the football games, but that one right there topped it topped them all. I tell you what, we got time for a quick commercial break. So on the other side of the break, I'll give you the rest of the 52. Sit tight. We'll be back in just a second. Are you feeling nostalgic for the golden eras of rap and soul music? If so, tune in to the Rap Soul Podcast. We are your weekly journey through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, spotlighting the music and the hidden gems that shaped the soundtrack of our lives. From the powerful beats to the soulful melodies, we bring you the best of the past with fresh insights and stories. Rediscover the music that defined a generation. Subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast and enjoy the vibes. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle. This is the 12 Kyle podcast, and we're talking about 5011. That's what we're talking about. 5011 things about me. So let's get back to the list. Number 27. She said, I don't like pumpkin spice. Listen, I don't like anything pumpkin. Pumpkin spice, pumpkin nice, pumpkin ice, nothing. Pumpkin is just nasty, man. And I don't know when pumpkin became like the in thing to do, but nah, not me. I can't do it. It's nasty. Number 28, I get seasonal depression. That's interesting because I heard Britt talk about it. I heard Baylor talk about it. I can't relate, unfortunately. Never been depressed about anything. Usually when the seasons change, that's when I kind of kick up and turn up a little bit. I probably turn down a little bit by the time it goes from spring to summer because it's just too hot. I mean, like it is way too hot. Like it wasn't even this hot when I was a kid. Like I look forward to going outside. Like summertime's now, like you got to catch me at the right time, man. I just early in the morning or late in the evening, but like in the middle of the day when it's hot, nah, I'm not coming outside. At least if I don't have to. Let's see, 29 favorite TV shows to binge watch. Let's see. I'm not really much of a binge watcher. In fact, I'm not a binge watcher. I did once try to binge a show. It was what was it? It was the Marvel, I think it was a Marvel show. It was a superhero show, and I remember one of the characters' name was Cottonmouth. I don't remember the name of that show, but it was a black superhero, and I tried to binge watch that. I just couldn't. Like after 3 episodes, I was like, all right, that's good. Like I don't understand how y'all just go through a whole series of a show in like a day. I couldn't do that. Maybe I have attention disorder or something. I don't know. I'm not going to sit and binge watch something like that. Even if the show is great, even something like, I don't know, like The Wire. The Wire is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. But there's no way I could process all of that information if I just sat on my couch for an entire weekend and just watched all 5 seasons of The Wire. No, I'm not doing that. I mean, no. Hey, shout out to y'all that do that. I can't do it. I won't do it. Let's see, number 30. She says, I love mint, chocolate, anything. Mint and chocolate are nasty. That is communist. Well, full disclosure, I don't eat a lot of chocolate. In fact, I don't eat chocolate. Like I'll eat a Snicker bar, and that's about as much chocolate as I'll eat. I don't eat chocolate cookies. I don't eat chocolate cake. I don't eat chocolate anything. So chocolate mint, get it out of here. I miss having a sidekick for a phone. I missed the sidekick. Well, I don't want to say miss. I didn't participate in the sidekick era. Like I went from, I had the BlackBerry Messenger. Oh man, listen, the BlackBerry Messenger. If you know, you know. It was a great era. It was a great run. I probably held onto that BlackBerry as long as I could. I didn't want to come to the iPhone, but I never touched an Android. I went from BlackBerry to iPhone eventually. But yeah, the BlackBerry was something cold, man. Shout out to everybody. The BlackBerry Messenger was really dope because it was almost like how you use, I don't know, WhatsApp or GroupMe now. It was the first text, it was the first place where we chatted. Yeah, that was dope. Let's see. Who is your celebrity lookalike? I heard Britt mention this. I heard Baylor mention this. I forgot about this question. I don't think anybody. I don't think I look like anybody. But let's see. I've been told. Oh, when I was in school, there was this comedian named Louis Dix. Dix. Look him up. People said I look like him. I don't think I look like him. I've had people. I've had one famous person tell me that I look like comedian TK Kirkland. I don't think I look like TK Kirkland, but I'm not arguing with Big Boy from Outkast. Big Boy from Outkast came in the studio and he saw me. He thought I was TK Kirkland. He went to give me dap. He said, my nigga, motherfucking TK, motherfucking Kirkland, excuse me. And he gave me dap. He was like, man, you ain't motherfucking TK Kirkland. I was like, no, I'm not. He's like, oh, okay. What's up, player? Hey, man, Big Boy's cool as hell. But no, I'm not TK Kirkland. But yeah, that was it. Ricky Bell from New Edition. I don't think so either, but I don't think I look like any celebrities. Number 33, would you rather get a text or a phone call? Depends on who it is. Because I have some, friends and family members who can talk. Shout out to my cousin Tammy, who, when I talk to Tammy, I know, and I owe her a phone call. I just know when I call Tammy, we'll be on the phone for 2 hours, and I'm probably going to talk 2 minutes of those 2 hours. And I love her to life. So yeah, I would probably prefer a text from Tammy. But for most other people, phone call is cool. I like to talk. So if I got time to talk, I'll talk. Number 34, I suffer from migraines. Oh, that's messed up, Britt. Here's the funny thing about me. Like, I don't get headaches. I may get 2, maybe 3 headaches in a year. That's it. And that's rare. And when I have headaches, they're usually, 15, 20 minutes. And then I either lay down or take an aspirin and they go away. But I rarely have headaches. Number 35, I'm an unprofessional poet. Me too. I do write poetry. I have not written poetry in a while, but I can write it. And I think it's kind of like, riding a bike. You get off the bike, but you never forget how to ride. Like, if you told me to write something right now, I could write something right now. I normally write when I'm inspired to write. I just ain't really been inspired to write anything. And so normally, and I would for my blog, which I still have. I don't post a lot of stuff on my blog now. But even for the blog, I would sometimes write stuff to put on the blog as far as poetry. And it ends up turning into something. Like the last time I went to write a poem to put it on the blog, it ended up turning into a long post, which ended up turning into a story, which ended up not even making the blog, but ending up on the podcast. So it's like when you get your creative juices flowing, it always turns into something else. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. Let's see. I was almost named Ashley. That's interesting. No, I wasn't. My name was always going to be Kyle. My mom said that from the beginning. My dad's name is Fred. And so my mom she said she was never, ever going to name me after my dad. And they laugh about that, but no, my name was never going to be Fred. But what was interesting was giving a young black kid the name Kyle in 1972. I promise you, there was no other black Kyles around. There were very few Kyles, period. Especially in my hometown of Florence, South Carolina. I'd only heard of one other kid named Kyle, and he was white. I didn't meet any other black people named Kyle until I got to college. There was a guy and a girl named Kyle, both at South Carolina State University with me. We all came in as freshmen. And so I was Kyle, the football player, and that was Kyle from New Jersey and the girl Kyle. And I think some people refer to us as that. But now, the name is pretty popular and it's not something, even somebody like Kyle West, the super producer for Al B. Sure, like we heard his name. And so I don't know what Kyle West looks like or if he's still around or whatever. But no, there weren't any Kyles. Let's see where we at. What we got here. Oh, how many tattoos and piercings? 0 on the strength. Speaking of Kyle West. Nah, I mean, here's the thing. Definitely not getting anything pierced. I do, for the longest time I wanted tattoos, but for whatever reason, never happened. I was supposed to get one in college because that was our ritual as football players. We get our numbers tattooed on ourselves. I mean, I guess I probably still could, or get my kids' names tattooed on me or something like that. Or get the number 12 tattooed on me. I could do that, but I just ain't motivated. I think the time has kind of come and gone. I mean, I'm about to be 52 years old. What do I look like going to get a tattoo? My first tattoo. Who knows? I may change my mind. Let's see. What was the last concert you went to? Oh, yes. Wu-Tang and Nas. Listen, that concert was bananas. Top 5, hands down. One of the most beautiful things was about that concert was that I was able to attend with our now 25-year-old. I think Dion was, 23 at the time. And listen, we had a ball because he grew up on that music. He grew up on Nas. He grew up on Wu-Tang because he listened to the music that I listened to. And one that I mentioned before, that's one of the proudest father moments that I had was like Nas was on stage rapping "The World Is Yours," and I turned to Dion, and we're going back and forth, verse to verse. "The World Is Yours," and I mean, like, if somebody had videotaped it, I probably, looking back on it, I probably would have cried. Like, it was just that special. But yeah, that was the best. That was the best concert. That was actually the last concert that I went to. Favorite sport, football, hands down. Football, hands down. Would you ever want to get married? Duh. I'm married now. At the time of this recording, we are in year 24. Still going strong. We still together. I mentioned before, and it's worth repeating. I love being married. And more importantly, I love the person that I'm married to. I'm not just married to be married. I think people should really, it's a long haul. It's a marathon, and there's no finish line, to be honest. I mean, if you believe in the biblical sense, the finish line is death. But no, I enjoy the married life. It's way better on this side than I see from what I can see in those single streets. Let's see, number 41. I love to paint, listen to music, and sip wine as therapy. Listening to music is definitely therapeutic for me. I'm a huge music fan. If you've listened to this podcast, you probably already know that by now. Paint, no. Sip wine, definitely. But yeah, music is definitely a therapy. What is a weakness that you have? That's a good question. I think probably one of the weaknesses that I have is that, kind of believing more in people than I probably should. I'm always going to kind of give people the benefit of the doubt for the most part. And I tend to see the good in people. And like, a couple of my boys, they always say, man, it's like, KD, you like everybody. Because that's what they call me, KD, my initials. You like everybody. No, I don't like everybody. But I see the good in people, and I give people an opportunity to show more good. Now, if you show me you're an asshole, then it is what it is. But I think that's a weakness, because I think people, by doing that, you allow people to also disappoint you. And it's been more than a handful of times where I have, thought that people were good and they weren't. And, that disappointment falls to me, because they've shown me all along that they weren't that good, or at least as good as I thought they were. And maybe for whatever reason, I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. But once they proved who they were, and they know who they are, it is what it is. But no, I think that's probably a weakness. And I'll just put it like this. This last experience that I've had is opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So I see it for what it is, and that's that. Let's see. Favorite chips. Ooh, good one. I would say the Ruffles, the plain Ruffles potato chips. Love those plain Ruffles potato chips. That's probably my go-to, just plain chips. I don't need barbecue. I mean, I like barbecue chips. Not a fan of sour cream chips are nasty. All these different flavors. Nah, just give me the plain joints. I'm good. What means the most to you? The little things. I think really for me, is particularly as I get older, like I mentioned a little earlier, enjoying the journey. Like, I'm always interested in the story of people and how they got to where they are, because let's face it, folks, when you get to be my age, you should, I don't want to say that you hit certain tiers, but like some of us hit certain tiers, career wise, family wise, wherever. but I'm always interested to hear how people got, particularly people that I don't know as well as I do my friends, but even my friends too, like seeing them go through some things, their highs, their lows, and their ability to bounce back. And, like seeing how they bounce back after a divorce, or bounce back after losing a parent, or bounce back after losing a job. And those are things that are going to happen. And, God willing, they may happen to you. So you can draw from them and their experiences. So those little things mean a lot to me, just people's stories. And, like I said, people's stories and enjoying the journey of life myself. Particularly as you get older, because I think, and I mentioned this on the podcast before, like one of the things I think we probably should do more of is stop for a second and look back to see where we've come from. Far too often we're running the race. We're running the race and we never stop to look back and say, you know what, man, I did a few things. I did some shit. Shout out to, and I need to get it back on the podcast. Shout out to Babi and Maya from the We Did That Shit podcast. I got to get them back on. Shout out to Babi and Maya. And that's why I laugh, because like I definitely got to get them back on the podcast. But the We Did That Shit podcast is one of my favorite podcasts. They're on hiatus. Let's see, number 45, memory with my mom from childhood. Man, my mom, like I said, fortunately still here. What's a memory I got with my mom? Probably one of my favorite memories is my mom at 8 years old bringing me into the kitchen, showing me how to cook. And I just remember her telling me, like, look, you're going to have to be able to cook and clean and take care of yourself. And I thought that was like crazy that I was happy that she was allowing me to come in the kitchen, because, what kid wouldn't want to cook? But she just taught me, like, look, you got to take care of yourself. So at that moment, she was preparing me for life. And she was also preparing me to live outside of her house. And she was preparing me to, because I can't tell you how many guys that I knew in college who, couldn't cook, couldn't clean, couldn't wash clothes. I mean, like just basic stuff to survive. Like, how are you going to live outside of your mom's house? And their mom did all of that stuff for them. Not me. I mean, she did that for me, but she also prepared me to, live a life on my own. Now, fortunately for me, I, found someone. But that was at 8 years old. That was that memory of me going to the kitchen for the first time. She was showing me how to cook fish. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Let's see. Favorite quote. This one's easy. This one I got from the great Joe Penner. I think Joe Penner's still around. Shout out to Joe Penner from WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina. He would always say, on this program, he would always say, think positive, act positive, and you will become a positive person. That's been my life's motto. Think positive, act positive, and you will become a positive person. A lot of stuff that we do, so much of what we do is in our mind. And if you're like me, if you're a thinker, if you're a critical thinker, if you're a free thinker, if you're someone that's in your head a lot, you need to have positive thoughts. Like, it's not so much as like when you're thinking about, let's just say you're thinking about a job. It's not so much about whether or not I can get the job. I deserve the job. Excuse me. I deserve the job. And if you give me the opportunity, I'm going to show you what I can do. And just having that confidence and that self-belief that you can do it. It works wonders for you. Number 47, favorite accessory that you wear. That's easy. My Apple Watch, because I don't wear jewelry. I've never worn jewelry. I'm not a big jewelry fan, even though I'm a huge hip hop fan. Never been a fan of necklaces. I think I had a herringbone necklace one time in college, and I had a little Figaro rope when I was in high school that that a girl gave to me and I lost. My bad. Sorry. So I'm not doing that. Not doing jewelry. Obviously my wedding ring, which I don't take. I only take my wedding ring off to lotion my hands. That's it. I don't, or if I'm going to, sometimes if I go work out, I'll take it off. No, I take that back. If I'm playing ball, I'll take it off. But if I go work out, I don't take it off. But those are the only accessories that I wear. Most embarrassing thing that happened to me. Walking into a wall, trying to impress a girl. walking Walking in one direction, looking backwards, trying to impress a girl, and I walked right into a wall at the mall and landed on my ass. It was crazy. I'm a sentimental person. I keep movie tickets, etc. I keep stuff for like a scrapbook. I still have my senior book that I talked about on the podcast. I did an episode on that. So I like keeping that stuff. I like going back and looking at that stuff and dates and stuff. I find that I don't have as much of that stuff now because so much of what we do is digital. So, but that's cool. Number 50. Do you feel challenged at work? Yes. And that's the great thing about work is that I can honestly say my current position, I've probably been challenged more here than I've ever been challenged before in my life at work. And I love it. And I like the fact that I'm challenged on a daily basis. And, because I think what I did before, you probably could just, I ain't gonna say probably, I could log in or get to work, walk in and sit at my desk and, kind of fake the funk for, for 8 hours. And I did a lot of times fake the funk for 8 hours and got the check. But no, this job this work is very fulfilling. And I'm interested to see what's next because there will be a next phase of this and whatever that is, whatever that capacity is. I'm looking forward to that as well. What is something that brings me joy? Obviously my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, my brother, my sister. And I need to talk to my sister. I haven't talked to her in a while. But my family, they definitely bring me joy. Music brings me joy. This podcast brings me joy. And number 52, what do you love about yourself now? Well, I don't like the word now because I love a lot about myself. I've always loved Kyle. I think for me, I've always been self-aware. And I was one of those people where like, I think I just discovered who I was, or I was beginning to discover who I was in high school. But by the time I got to college, I think I really, really understood who I was and where I was going. And that was beautiful because like, some people go their whole lifetime trying to figure this shit out, or, they're trying to, or they get far into their adulthood and they're like trying to rediscover themselves. I've always known who I am. I've always loved who I am. I've always been proud of who I am. Even when I've done things that probably shouldn't have done because I make mistakes like everybody else. I'm not superhuman. I'm not perfect. But I love really the fact that I've loved on myself and pushed and motivated myself to get where I am. I've had a lot of help along the way, but for a lot of times I remember those days where I was shooting in the gym by myself, not figuratively, but you get the point. Like it was just me. And so like whatever levels of success that I've attained, I would never let anybody tell me like I didn't earn it because I know that I did. Because I remember those days of grinding with seemingly no end in sight. And, you look around and it's just you, like there's nobody else. And then it got to a point in life where I looked around and my wife was on my side and my kids were right behind me. And so we were all in it together and I was trying to lead them. And those things I think really helped mold me into who I've become. And the reason why I said now is because like, I ain't done. Like I'm still working and still tweaking and developing into who Kyle is going to ultimately be. I don't necessarily know that I will reach that destination at any point in this lifetime, maybe the next lifetime, who knows? But I'm still wanting to grow and still growing. So I think that's important. And that's it. That's 50-11 things. Well, actually 52. So I got to shout out Britt for doing her episode again. Congrats on your 50th. Shout out to homie Baylor for remixing it. And by him remixing it, it made me remember to get the notes from Britt, and Britt texted them to me. And I want to thank you all for tapping into this episode. This has been a longer episode than I had anticipated, but I knew it was going to run long, so I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. You know the drill. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been another edition of the 12 Kyle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Also, we have a new baby. It's called the Rap Soul Podcast. You can find that wherever you get podcasts as well. That is the best music podcast that you've never heard of until now. So make sure that you tap in. I'm all on social at 12 Kyle across the board. And if you want to contribute financially to the podcast, you can hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE, or you can hit the description box. There's a link that says merch. Click that and buy 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and coffee mugs. We got it all for the low. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy, 12 Kyle, and I'll catch you guys next time. 5 G's. Chill.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle Podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle Podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.